everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ed Moriarty, and I'm the Executive Director of Mining Industry Newfoundland and Labrador, our provincial mining industry association. And I'm pleased to be here today as your MC for this event. Before we begin, I respectfully acknowledge the land on which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, whose culture has been lost forever and can never be recovered. We also acknowledge the island of Newfoundland as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq peoples, and we acknowledge Labrador as the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Innu, Nutassian, the Inuit of Nunatulavut, and an Inuit of Nunatsiavut. Although each community is distinct, we all share a desire to chart a way forward together in reconciliation. And I'd like to thank you for joining us for this announcement on critical minerals in our province. And I'd like to start by introducing our speakers. I'd like to welcome the Honourable Seamus O'Regan, Junior Minister of Labour and Member of Parliament for St. John's South Mount Pearl. He's here today on behalf of the Honourable Jeanette Pepys-Taylor, the Minister of Official Languages and Minister responsible for the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, or ACOA. Also pleased to have the Honourable Andrew Parsons, Minister of Industry, Energy and Technology, join us today with the province. And we also have in the audience today Joanne Thompson, Member of Parliament for St. John's East, who's joining us today to celebrate this news. And to provide some more details on this announcement, I'd like to ask Minister O'Regan to come to the podium, please, and share some remarks.
Andrew and I haven't done this arrangement on a bench before. He was just saying that if he'd maybe put his head on my shoulder, we could have done planes, trains, and automobiles. And I'd said, if I maybe got in the brush cut and stood up a little more upright and had a box in front of me, I could have said, life is like a box of chocolates. Ed, thank you for the introduction. I love coming to the Geo Centre. I think the problem is I only really get here for announcements, so I don't get enough time to take a look around again. That's not a bad thing, I guess, though. I mean, I think the last time I was here, it was to announce part of that $400 million that we gave for the offshore to support it through COVID. You think about that, you know? I remember that feeling, and I remember that day, and I remember we thought we were that close to all of it being over, and here we are now. Here we are now. It's really something. There's not a day that goes by these days that I don't take for granted where we are and where we were. Sometimes life moves so fast and our expectations are so high, but if you go back and you think back to those days, I'm deeply appreciative of where we are now, and I'm deeply appreciative of today. One of the things about the Geo Centre is that it reminds us of the unique geology of our province. It's a geology that sparked the start of a mining industry right back in the 1800s, an industry that remains a big contributor to the province's economy today. 8,000 workers. Last year, valued at approximately $6 billion in shipments. But there are still areas to explore. There are still new mineral deposits to discover, and there are still opportunities to grow in this sector, very much so. I remember working for Premier Tobin and Minister Rex Gibbons during the wild days following the Voisey's Bay discovery. I still have one of the first core samples of Voisey's Bay on my desk in Ottawa. There was just so much potential back then about the potential for mining in the province. And you know, that excitement may have peaks and valleys over the years, but it never went away. And I feel it again today. It was fortunate to get to Voisey's Bay for the first time this summer. It's the first time I've been there. I worked so hard on it many years ago when I was in the provincial government. And you know, just to see the opening now of the underground mining, the opening to the Eastern Deeps, I don't think I fully appreciated the challenge of what we did as a province until I saw it in person. But I was in absolute awe of what we have achieved there. So this is a great day. Significant exploration, development, and production is already happening right across this province. And as our country changes to a low-emission economy, the mining sector is vital. When I was Enercan minister, our ministry came up with the 31 critical minerals for Canada. Our list, Canada's list for critical minerals, critical for the sustainable economic success of our country. These critical minerals, which include copper and nickel and cobalt, these are the minerals that are critical for renewable energy and clean technology, advanced batteries, permanent magnets, solar panels, wind turbines, small modular reactors. There is no electric vehicle battery or solar panel without mining. We don't lower emissions and build up renewables without a lot more mining. It is impossible. Voisey's Bay and Long Harbor facility and the Beaver Brook, Antimony and Glenwood, they are already producing minerals on the critical list. Search Minerals is developing a rare earth element project in southeast Labrador. And recently, Sockema Minerals and Benton Resources Alliance make exciting discoveries of both high-grade lithium and cesium in southwestern Newfoundland. There are critical minerals here. We need to find more of them. So, to ramp up critical mineral exploration over the next 3 years, the federal government is contributing $5.2 billion. 5.2. Take two. Give me 20 years, okay? I've come through in the past to ramp up critical mineral exploration over the next 3 years. The federal government is contributing $5.2 million. That will lead to $5.2 billion, I can guarantee that. But you start somewhere. This is going to support 2 new critical mineral initiatives that the government of Newfoundland and Labrador will deliver. The first is an airborne geophysical survey program to capture high-resolution data from areas with strong critical mineral potential. This new data will be a very important tool for mining companies to scope out potential areas for exploration a lot more effectively. The second builds on the provincial government's Junior Exploration Assistance Program. A new critical minerals component will be introduced to provide incentives for companies to search for more deposits. These programs will equip the mining industry in our province with current and relevant information and targeted support to drive more critical mineral exploration and development. Today's announcement will strengthen our province's mining industry, and it's going to help build Canada's green and digital economy. Earlier this month, my colleague and my friend Jonathan Wilkinson, now the Minister of Natural Resources, he released Canada's Critical Minerals Strategy. This is an initiative that I began when I was minister there. It is a $3.8 billion strategy that is going to ramp up our critical minerals industry big time. It is a roadmap to guide the resource development and value chains in our country. I want Canada to be a clean energy and technology supplier of choice in the world, and I want Newfoundland and Labrador to be at the heart of it. Exploration work will get more critical minerals out of the ground and into supply chains and lowering emissions and making money. ACOA will work with the provincial government to make sure that the mining industry has all the support that they need. We have the resources in this province. We have the resources that the world needs right here. And better still, we got the workers who know how to mine them. We're just giving them the tools to let them do the job that they know how to do best, which is to get it done. So I want to thank Minister Parsons, as always. I want to thank all the experts at the Department of Industry, Energy and Technology for helping move this project forward. And I want to thank you, Ed, and the team at Mining NL for everything that you do to support our mining industry. Thank you all very much for your interest today. It's a big day. Big day. Thank you.
Well, that's just tremendous, Minister, and I appreciate the announcement here this morning and having with us so many of our colleagues in the sector join us here from the prospecting through to the operations. I'd like to now call on Minister Parsons. The provincial government is a key partner, of course, in our sector, and these new initiatives are sure to make a big impact on our industry in the next few years. So, Minister Parsons, could you come up and share some thoughts, please?
Well, thank you, Ed, and certainly thank you, Seamus. It's always good to see you gentlemen here, and especially on a good day like today. I'm looking out at the crowd here, and it feels like I'm home. There's a bunch of friends here. I'm looking at our prospectors. I'm looking at Joanne. I'm looking at academia. I'm looking at people like Amanda, who originally come from the Southwest Coast, from back in the district of Burgess-Law. There's a lot of people here, and it's great because today is a good announcement. Business in our province and around the world are recognizing both the issues and opportunities that are presented by our changing climate. And the reality is that we here in Newfoundland and Labrador, we do have the resources to meet the clean energy needs of Newfoundland and Labrador, of North America, and of Europe. Now, while wind and hydrogen is a new development here, we all know that mining has always given us that strong foundation from which to build from. And as Seamus mentioned, it's the anticipated rapid rise of demand for critical minerals, in most cases more than anything we've ever seen previously, that does pose a question about supply. This, and what I would say is, make no mistake, as we transition to that green economy, we are well positioned to support that production for green industry. And critical minerals are the building blocks for the green economy and for clean tech. To meet this demand, our province must shift. Now, a great deal of work has already been done to advance mining the future, something that was brought in certainly before my time through my predecessor, Minister Siobhan Cody. But now's the time to take stock, and I think we need to reevaluate our path forward. And as I announced during the Mineral Resources Review Conference, we are proceeding with the development of a critical minerals strategy. And part of our new path forward is re-examining how can we collaborate with our federal colleagues on advancing critical minerals. This is a huge investment by ACOA, and it's going to create capacity to attract even further investment in mineral exploration and in the mining sector here. For our part, from the department, we're leveraging these funds to help accelerate the timeline from discovery to development and to enhance two components of our mineral exploration program: the Airborne Geophysical Survey and our Junior Exploration Assistance Program. One of the challenges we face with increasing interest in gold in our province is that the Junior Exploration Program is increasingly oversubscribed. With this funding, we will be able to expand the support provided by the JEA program to target this critical mineral exploration. And this targeted support will provide companies with greater certainty. It's going to provide support for project planning, enable them to leverage market financing, increase investment, and actually grow the probability of exploration actually taking place. It's increasingly and exceedingly important. The Airborne Geophysics Survey will play a role in the search, helping to target critical mineral exploration potential and drive staking and exploration. What this does today, what this announcement does, is help our mines division to target funding for critical minerals. It's going to allow for this exploration, and I would point out increasingly also in Labrador. And every time I'm around our colleagues, Yvonne Jones and Lisa Dempster, they love to remind us about how much has been done in Labrador, but how much remains to be done. In short, more investment, more exploration, increased potential for finds. We all know where that goes. Again, and Seamus mentioned, we have 31 critical minerals in this that have been identified, 23 of them here in this province. Again, we need better understanding of the potential for critical, but just seeing the work that's ongoing, referencing Seamus's comments and Ed's comments, there's a lot going on, but there's a potential for so much more. We continue to work to develop that. Again, this helps our commitment for critical mineral development and the transition to the green economy. And I can tell you that there's more to come. I don't want to give it all away in 2022. I mean, we got to have something to look forward to. What I would say is we will have more to come on the provincial critical minerals strategy in the coming weeks, including consultation. Before I wrap up, just a few thank yous. Might be the last chance to talk to some people prior to the end of the new year. A big thank you to Seamus and to Joanne. and our colleagues in the federal government. I got to tell you, folks, the partnership that we have is allowing us. I mean, we knocked it out of the park yesterday with the Innovation Center, which was a long time coming. This today, I don't think everybody, I just look at people in Burgeo-Lapoil, and I don't think they realize how the exploration for mining drives the rural areas of this province. It makes a huge difference. Again, to Ed and his team at Mining NL for everything that they've done. They've been a huge ally, especially as someone green like me comes in, didn't have a background in this, and I look at some of these friendly faces here. They've done a great job of, again, telling me what we have going on here, and my job is to help tell the province and to people of this province what we have going on here, the opportunities we have. I work in a great department, and a big shout out to Alex and Keith and Dorothea and Brad and others. I got to tell you, the demand has surged, and they continue to get things done. When things are busier than ever, they continue to be constant. And for that, I'm very appreciative of the work done in the department. To our friends in the media, I'm going to give a shout out. It's the first time I've ever done this. Paddy Daly. Every time I call in, Paddy's not here right now, he's on the radio, I presume. Every time I call in, he too talks about the importance of critical minerals. He's asked me every time. So again, I say to our friends in the media, thank you guys for helping us spread the word for opportunities that we have here. It's very easy sometimes in this world to dwell on the things that are difficult or negative. That's pretty easy. But these are good news stories. These are stories that give us hope for Newfoundland and Labrador. Again, we are going to play a part in where this world goes, and I couldn't be more proud. On that note, thank you all. To everyone, I wish you a happy holidays. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister. You know, from our perspective, Mining NL, this is a tremendous opportunity for our members and to attract in new investment and to leverage that investment through the activities both of the federal and provincial government who have been partners with us as an industry association over many years, certainly since I've been around and before that. So we'd like to thank, on behalf of the board of Mining NL and our membership base, this announcement by both governments to advance both the scientific basis for which our industry is well known, and this room that we're in today is very much reflective of that, and as well to also account for the fact that Newfoundland and Labrador will continue to play a very significant role in the industry, the mining industry in this country, but more particularly in terms of its industrial policy and how that's going to change over the next 8 to 10 years as we make this transition into a low zero carbon environment for our industry and for our world. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up and attending our event. We're going to have a few official photos, ministers, and then ministers will take some questions from the press, as I understand from communications folks here. So thank you very much for coming out and joining us this morning. A tremendous day for our industry. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and the best in the new year. Thank you.
I grew up in a little town called Steg Arbor on Fogo Island. Then I came to this area, I actually went to Beaumont, where I met Lou, my husband.
I grew up in Long Island.
And then we moved here, but we only moved there for the short term. So 50 years later, we're still here, we built a house and had our family, and this is home now. Today, we will be looking at raspberries, and we'll be picking a few raspberries and showing how I preserve them to last over the winter. We've been gardening for a long time, but we started really small. First, we actually did some in containers. Every year, we'd expand our little patch, and we just kept trying different stuff. Potatoes, carrots, beets, peas, herbs, strawberries, along with the raspberries. We grow our own raspberries, but we also pick wild raspberries Some years I get lots from my own little patch. Last year I got well over 10 gallons. But this year I won't get half that many, not even quarter. The raspberries grow on the same branch one year, like the branch will grow one year and there'll be fruit on it the next, and then it dies and there's new ones. So there's not many this year that have fruit on them, but it looks like there's going to be lots next year. See, this is a really nice one. It's all right when you touch it. When it comes off easy, you know it's right. This has been my lifelong dream, to have my own berry patch. All right, so line a tray with parchment paper. And parchment paper works really well because they don't stick to it. So I just throw them all out and pick out any dirt that's in them. And I think they're good. So then I just put them on the tray and put them in the freezer. And here are the frozen berries. When you use the parchment paper, it just, this tray is a little big, but kind of just lift them up. Just, they all just pour into the bucket. You can use any plastic container, but I like to use the beef buckets, but everybody wouldn't have those, so any plastic container will work. See? After fighting with the raspberries in plastic bags, and like they're all in this big lump, and like you can't separate them, you have to thaw them first, and I thought there has to be a better way. A couple of years ago I decided to try freezing them on trays, and I won't go back to stuffing them in bags anymore. I used to cook jam, but I never cook jam anymore. I always make freezer jam. I find the flavor is like the fresh berries. All right, this is raspberry freezer jam. You mash 4 cups, like mash until you get 4 cups of mashed berries. That will probably get you about 6 jars of jam. A cup and a half sugar to 4 cups of berries. Then you mix the sugar and freezer jam pectin. Just kind of mix this up a little bit. It makes it like kind of get thicker, like it's not runny. I think that should be good. You just pour this in and you stir it for 3 minutes. 11:57. See, it's getting thicker already, but after I put it in the jars, I sit it in the fridge overnight before I put it in the freezer. And it gets really nice and thick then. I've been making freezer jam for as long as I can remember. 3 minutes is done. Then you just ladle it into jars, and from this there'll probably be about 6 jars. I think it's important for people to keep growing food, because you get something that's not all loaded with chemicals and stuff, something that's better for you. It's economical too to grow your own food, especially like if people are on lower incomes, even on a small scale. Like we can get enough potatoes from there for most of the winter.
It's hard work. It's not hard work if you enjoy it. But it's no good to put it in the ground and say, well, I will harvest that in the fall. It don't work. So you got to work at it. We'll pick out the weeds. And picking out weeds is not an easy job.
It's something that should be passed on. And it's rewarding.
We live good.
Marina Palmer. I grew up in Portiswell and I'm still living in Portiswell. Came from a very large family. We had to cook to help our mother out. She had that many children, so we were taught pretty young. every one of us can cook, I'd say fairly good. I grew up, we had to take turns making our special cake for the weekend. Each one's sisters, one did a light one did a chocolate one, and then we did molasses, what they call the old-fashioned molasses cake, or like a gingerbread. We learned the old way that they used to cook. Meat wasn't easy to come by back in them days, so there was no fridges, no electricity. The vegetables mainly came from our garden. Fish would have came from Portsmouth. You go to the fishermen. I use my own olive oil. I'm going to do a recipe that came back from great-grandmother from Quebec City. I'll keep stirring this now until it's brown, really brown. You brown your little bit of flour and make it nice and tasty. It was fish, you know, with potato and onions into it. I want enough of liquid to cook the fish, but I don't want too much. It was good. And we enjoyed it. Really did. My mom used to cook a master-sized pot. The recipe did come from Quebec. That's where my grandparents on my dad's side came from. My mom's side, my grandfather came right from France. At the age probably 14, 15, he decided he was going to get off the boat, so he jumped ship and took the boat and rowed ashore into it and hid away under a pile of lumber. And the man that owned the land, he came out that morning, saw the men coming off the boat. He knew they were looking for someone. And he was hid away on his pile of lumber in the yard. So he took them in, gave them tea, and then he took them down, showed them where to go, where no one wouldn't find them. Down in Eddie's Cove, there wasn't very many people, probably 3 or 4 families at that particular time. So they took him in, and that's where he met my grandmother too, and he married her. It's just something when you decide you want some fish, you want fish stew or fried fish or whatever, you know, you just cook it up for a meal. It's always made the same way that my mom used to make it and taught us to make it. There was a recipe that we grew up loving.